Damn. Oh my god. Kita is go I haven't looked at this chart, like, since I bought. Oh my god. I think we mentioned this on stream too.
All right, let's I might close my window here because I got some cars going by. Let's tweet this bad boy out, get this stream promoted. Let's go.
Do this, schedule this to go out. Team. Cool. And let me. All right, GM everyone. Let's see what we got. Let me go ahead and push this stream out to a couple channels.
Zeus is looking interesting.
Very, very. Let's see. Boom. We're live.
All right.
Cool.
Do you want to start with Zeus real quick because it's just alerted?
It's freaking ripping. Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen real quick.
Yeah, go for it. GM
to everyone.
Gems hunting, that's right. We're out here.
Rago, GM brother. GM. Let's see here. All right, so for anyone in my TG, I just made this call not too long ago. It's actually waiting for this to kind of like go lower. I wanted to see it trade at the bottom of the range one more time, but as you can see, like it just never really got there, and I ended up kind of like buying and calling here, and lo and behold, it's on its way up, breaking out of the accumulation range. Llama Alpha, LFG, let's go. So quick little take on this Zeus call that I just made. So it's basically like Hyperliquid on Solana. GM twist, tap tap, GM boys. It's basically powered by a protocol called Ray, I believe, RAY, not our own Ray. Um, but basically, dev team is like ex Coinbase, and it seems like it could be a legit kind of Hyperliquid competitor. I have to do a little bit more digging on it, but it's pretty interesting so far. I like the team, the backers. I mean, ex Coinbase. You pretty much, you're pretty much getting into a well connected team. So I'm gonna do a little bit more digging on it, but I did want to just flag that. So like, probably good for to get in on like pullbacks or retest of the top of this range or something. But did want to throw that on you guys' radar. Um, and beyond that, man, it's still only 4 mil market cap, and it's been in a range ever since it's been launched, or at least for 80% of that, 90% of that time here. So wanted to highlight that to you guys and flag that before we kind of do our top down approach. So let's get started. Oh, looks like they're Looks like their first perp decks on Rhea AMA today. I think they have some sort of AMA or something coming up. Nice, nice. Well, anyway, it's looking good, breaking out of the range. But let's start. No, this is not the next Ray. V Man, what's up, bro? What's up? This is not the next Ray. This protocol, Zeus, is backed by or powered by something called Rhea Chain. Basically, it just helps them to access deeper liquidity. But that's why I said earlier, it's not the Ray that we know, right? It's not Ray Network that we usually cover, one of our long-term holds. It's completely different. This is Perps. This is like a hyperliquid competitor. So just want to make that clear. But let's kind of start with top down here real quick. Now we got a play that we can put on our watch list. Watch for some entries. But let's start top down first. Let's look at Bitcoin. Get a sense of where we are, where we're going potentially. So we finally got our breakout, and we got that accumulation zone here. I'll just kind of draw some rough lines real quick. So we got our accumulation kind of consolidation range here a few days ago. And let me just zoom in so we can take a better look at this. You saw we were at the top, but we were kind of in this range. We retested and now we're higher. Now we're in another range. I'm assuming that, with this kind of explosive price action that we're seeing with Bitcoin, I wouldn't be surprised to see us continue this further because if we zoom out even further, remember our kind of like overall picture of what the market is going to do, right? This was our overall kind of like long-term view of what's going to be done with this market. And so far we're a little bit, ahead of schedule, but looking really good. We're looking clear for all-time highs, um, well into Q3, right? So yeah, this is it right here. So we're looking really good now. We're in the midst of establishing another range. So I think that's what's gonna be really important here, is just kind of seeing how this range plays out. And because it's still relatively new, there's not a lot to go on. So we'll just see how Bitcoin does here. But I'm still leaning bullish as per the long-term outlook. Um, Now, everything else looks pretty strong as well. Like nothing is taking like, super huge dips, but just kind of consolidating at local highs. Same thing with ETH. Still not a lot of like recent data to go on, but like we said before, once it starts reclaiming these levels, that's when we start to get really interested in ETH. And here we are, reclaiming another level on a higher time frame. So we're looking good on Bitcoin, looking good on ETH, not ruling out a dip. Just stepping back for a second, you have to have a bull case, a base case, and a bear case, right? So my base case was this sort of weekly view here. That's my base case, right? My bear case is, maybe we double top here at 106 and go down. I don't give that any reasonable probability. You know, I don't give that a high chance of us doing at all. I think we have a lot to go in this cycle. I think there's still a ton of upside left, not only for Bitcoin, but for a lot of these tokens that we're in. So I don't give that a very high probability. But we have to still be aware of the possibility of that happening, right? And then bull case is basically the same as the bear case. Like I mean, bull case, maybe we just like go up in a straight line, but I really don't see that happening either. I really see us kind of just doing this slow grind higher. But same thing here with ETH, right? Like with ETH base case, we just continue to grind higher. And I think with ETH, there's a lot of deflationary pressure with the token and everything with the new upgrade. So I think there's a lot more that we have to look forward to with ETH in terms of upside. But yeah, that's the overall picture. Everything's going on point. Everything is looking good. But obviously, we are in this kind of like pullback area, right? Like we have Fartcoin kind of coming off the highs a little bit, kind of retest again. Everything is developing a range right now. So Fartcoin, same thing at the bottom of the range. Honestly, I think anything below like this like 130 level is like a pretty much a free long. That's how I've been treating it. Been successful here, been successful here. So, that's the setup on Fartcoin. Popcat, one of our other plays that we were watching, didn't quite come back down to test our line, but I said this in the last stream. If I'm long here, so that was a free setup for you guys, but I didn't have a chance to take it myself. Trying to catch up with all this ICM meta and all this other stuff. And with that said, let's kind of talk about like ICM real quick. And Josh, did you wanna get some music going, bro? I kinda
Oh,
like those vibes.
yeah, yeah,
I
good,
totally forgot about that.
good call. I'm also teeing up like a top five segment, and then I'm just gonna go through the replies and pull in community token request segment just so you have it on your screen. But yeah, I'll tee up those vibes for you.
Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, no, those vibes are immaculate. Yeah, nice. I'm financially destitute. Oh, man. V-Man, yo, what's up, bro? Alright, so, just kinda where I am, just coming back from vacation, just diving back into markets, seeing everything about ICM meta and all that good stuff. Um, I'm you're trying to figure out, okay, do I get exposure to this? Is this something that I'm buying long term? A lot of people are comparing it to, the start of the AI agent craze. Um, but then you also see a little bit of PvP with the memes. I think him is like him and startup versus unicorn to as a battle of the top memes in the meta or whatever. I don't know. A
What
lot of
is
people
the?
would like to trade
Can
that.
I ask
Yeah,
a quick question on that? Do you want to pull
talk
up
to me.
some of those new charts because I think they're
Yeah.
interesting? But is it basically just memeing like capital formation with startups and stuff like that, like the anti VC thing, or
Yeah.
is it internet capital markets more like traditional stocks coming on Solana or something like that? Like, how do you think about that?
So let me actually do this. I'm gonna share a thread that I dug up that kind of like helps us to walk through this whole this whole meta. So let me share my screen because like it basically that's exactly what it is. It's basically anti VC. It's permissionless crowdfunding type of thing. So basically, internet capital markets. You had this Believe app launch, and basically, what Believe is, Crypto KX. Hey, what's happening? What's up, bro? But you basically have this app that where you launch a token, and creators get 50% of the volume. So basically, you can come out and say, "Hey, I have this idea." And if people actually vibe with that and they actually think, hey, like that's a great idea, they'll buy your token. And the more volume, the more hype that you generate, the more fees that you'll accrue as the creator. And I think this was kind of kickstarted by Pump Fund a little bit, where they were also rewarding creators. But then you also had like the Believe app launching, which kind of just gave I believe what it is was it's just a little bit more competitive than Pump Fund in that regard. But all of these launch apps are basically just Pump Fund competitors. And what you'll see really is all this competition will then lend itself to a better trench environment. Because, if Pump Fund is the only the only player in that sector, they make the rules. Now, people are accusing Alan, the CEO founder or whatever, of, basically extracting. He's basically extracted hundreds of millions and hasn't given anything back to the community. And that's what a lot of people that's the kind of narrative forming around Alan and Pump Fund. And so some of these other launch pads, they're now coming out with, better terms, better ways of filtering quality. And, that's going to now force Pump Fund to either change the rules altogether or do something a little bit different, more different than what they've already done. But either way, all of this competition breeds a much better environment. Now we have a platform in Believe app that, essentially is offering a way of, decentralizing, venture capital, I guess you could say, but just giving founders a way of pitching an idea, see how many people that attracts, and then using the hype and the volume that they create to then go out and build that idea. So better way of raising funds. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of grifting going on. There's going to be a lot of, washed Web2 founders that, try to come to this space and extract as much as they can, etc. But, it's all about how are you going to filter through these plays. What I would like to see first is if this meta even has any staying power, because we've PvP'd this so quickly. I want to see, some runners. I mean, if you look here, so a couple like top takers in the meta. Dupe was the first. Basically just kind of like product discounts and stuff like that. Overall, this is just Web 2 founders coming to Web 3. They're now using this Believe app in order to source funds versus just using the attention flywheel on Pump Fund to source a community. But overall, like, I still do think like projects like a PVS, for example, Paraverse, these are Web 2 builders building something in Web 3, but it's more the tech is real, the infrastructure is there to power a future, power a big sector in the future, such as XR, extended reality. So you have a lot more that's being offered with a project like Paraverse, especially when you consider that they have they have the partnerships that they have, the amount of clients that they have. They have 10,000 plus developers, working on that platform. They're, versus, something like Dupe, not fudding Dupe at all. It has its own community. It has its own value prop and everything. And the builders building a lot of this stuff is really good, but I just find it funny how the mispricing with the market, how that takes place. When projects like, a Render or a PAL, they get an IBM partnership, or they get a Google starts, a Google platform starter, when they get accepted into that program, those things, they go crazy. They, the prices tend to skyrocket. But, you have a project like this, who's like PVS, who has so many Web 2 household name partnerships, but still, valued at 10 mil. obviously that's good for us. We get to bid this, get to buy it at these low prices. But you know, this ICM meta is just Web 2 founders and builders coming into Web 3. And now you have a lot of these founders who are able to create apps without even knowing how to code. They call it vibe coding. But you essentially don't really have to know, anything technical. You have projects like Easy One who, can create these applications without even having to code one bit. So, these are some of the top, project in that kind of birthed this entire meta. Dupe was number one. That kind of put it all on the map. You have others like Buddy, like Reply, Giggles, Aura. That's one that I was in. Might think of rebuying it. I see it's kind of bottoming, but there's a lot of these different projects that you can buy. But here's the thing that I find really interesting. Let's look at this real quick. I saw something that I wanted to show you guys. This is a poll of whether the ICM meta will survive or not. A little bit more people think it'll survive, but not too long ago, this was 50-50. So, I really do think that I think the meta has legs. I think it's a good kind of like anti-VC, very core to crypto ethos type of meta. But, what that means for the price action of these tokens while it finds its footing, who knows, right? What I would like to see is a bottom form on some of these things. I must admit, I got a little too excited. I came back from vacation. I was, fresh off Hyperliquid gains. I was, looking at the shiny new object, and I really wanted to get involved. And so I did. And I bought into, but I believe what I did was I got in, a little too early. I was a little too excited, and I ended up buying and trying to catch a falling knife. But what I would like to see is some of these bottoms start to form on some of these tickers. So tickers like Dupe, I think I saw that was falling. Buddy, I saw that was falling, but also I think it was starting to find its footing. I believe Fitcoin, I've seen that one a lot. And Uber, I've seen Uber a lot. And then I've also seen Aura, and I think that one is forming a bottom as well. So I would like to see these things form a bottom first before trying to just, front run the bottom in this and essentially catching a falling knife. So yeah, I got you. Let me shoot you the link right now, Josh. So how do you think you want to do this, bro? You want to do the community segment first? Or would you like to do the top 5 first?
I think probably maybe top 5 makes most sense because we can kind of run through just any updates. Yeah, let's just get those because they're in the port. And then, the community segment is a little bit, we're getting a lot now compared to 2 shows ago. So, we'll kind of have to feel our way through and try and cap it at like 1 or 2 minutes per thing, unless something like really pops out, and just kind of do like token in, market cap, or what are they saying on X? Kind of the
I will say though, I like a lot of these tickers that are being sent. Like just off looking at them, just like eyeballing some of them. A lot of good tickers. But let me pull up multi-charts. Let me share my screen. Let's kind of go through our top 5.
I would say let's create a new community segment on multi-charts. Where we just drop in kind of things that have been called by the community. I don't know if you want to start up, but like it would be worth just tracking that separately from. Yeah, go for it.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think that's a really really good idea. Let me look at a quickly a higher time frame on XMW here because I think it's coming into some like local demand, but XMW, really powerful move. I mean, we came up like what was it, 400%, almost 330 off this like ultimate bottom. I mean, after a move like that, you want to kind of see some sort of, cooling off, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Because a lot of people, I got a lot of questions, like on especially PVS, Serve, XMW, like, hey, chill, like, what should I do if I'm sidelined or an entry, things of that nature. So what you'd want to do is kind of like eye some of these local demand areas, and you want to buy those. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, XMW kind of like, and this is just super rough charting, by the way. This is like nothing too in depth, but you see this kind of like higher time frame demand on the 3 day. That's a good area to buy on a pullback, and I mean that's still pretty good value. What's that down from the local highs? Like that'll be almost 50% down, so that's pretty good value right there. By the way, XMW, I believe they're going to Crypto KX. I would like to send a micro cap. Can you review it? Yeah, bro. Send it in the chat, bro. We'll look it up. But XMW, they're scaling their fleet of miners. So they're on their way to tripling, if not more, their fleet. And I still have to do a lot of catching up. I've been digging on this ICM meta, so I haven't caught up with absolutely everything. We'll have a more full picture for you guys on everything on Monday, on Monday's stream. But yeah, this is like my first day back at the desk, first full day. But either way, XMW, a lot of great updates coming, a lot of good partnerships coming out. They also have those fleet of miners that they'll also be be including. I believe there was a recent post by, I want to say it was DeFi Fur, if I'm not mistaken. He had put out a nice post, kind of outlining exactly the recent updates to XMW. And let me just pull that up here because I think it's really important. They had a spaces with Crypto Haas recently, but basically they hinted at a $1 million Bitcoin futures deal. So they'll use the $1 million to buy 500 hydro miners. So essentially, just again increasing their fleet of miners, and basically those miners can mine 2 Bitcoin each month, which equals 2.5 million annually, and they'll use a portion of that to buy back. I think they would use like 1.5 mil or something like that for buybacks on the chart. And so that just means, as more of these deals get struck, that means a bigger fleet of miners, and that means bigger buybacks. And so it just kind of enhances the token flywheel. Like it's literally the biggest flywheel currently. I mean, think of how Michael Saylor is using his stock to buy Bitcoin, right? That's a similar flywheel to what's going on with XMW. They're using their quote unquote stock of Bitcoin miners to sell Bitcoin futures. They're using that futures to then increase their fleet of miners, to then increase the buybacks, to then get more futures, to buy more miners, and on and on and on. So that's how this flywheel is taking place. And it's very Michael Saylor-esque in how, they can kind of sell these futures to increase their fleet and buy back more tokens. So that's the update on XMW. A lot of these plays are showing good entries, especially with some of these majors kind of consolidating. So with Bitcoin and Ethereum especially kind of stuck in these consolidation ranges, a lot of people are getting nervous. Some people don't really know if this means that, Bitcoin will have a lower high. There's a lot of talk around this being a sort of complacency shoulder for Bitcoin. So, rightfully, people are getting a little bit nervous. But I would say you also have to realize that, Bitcoin is up like 30 or 40% off the low or something like that. So it's going to need to cool off, but markets will panic and call, oh, this is the triple top, or this is a complacency shoulder, or what have you. But with that fear gives you these entries. And so, this that box is pretty good value in terms of an entry for XMW. Moving on to Serve. Serve, this chart really hasn't pulled back. Let me do this real quick. This chart really hasn't pulled back out of this diagonal. Straight off the bottom, it's literally just been going in this sideways move up. Why? Because there's a lot happening with Serve. They're actually in talks with a lot of like deep ecosystem builders on Base. We saw that they're going to be migrating to Base, but it's not just a liquidity moving to Base sort of thing. It's also a more of a setting roots into the Base ecosystem. So they've been talking to a lot of these AI builders and a lot of these bigger names on Base. And so, there's a lot of excitement around that and around potentially a Coinbase listing. I think that's been floating around. I don't know if that's credible though. But just the fact that they're speaking with a lot of these bigger protocols on Base, that in and of itself, is really causing the community to be really excited. So, I don't expect this chart in a time when there's fear in the market. This chart isn't really pulling back. It's actually continuing to grind higher. So, I only expect it to continue to do so, because this is probably the worst the market has been in, I would say, maybe the last week or two. Trenches have been hot since I've left. Perps have been printing since I've left. A lot of our plays have been up. So I would say this is the first kind of real local high for fear. And even with that, not XMW, Serve is really continuing to hold its weight. So there's a lot coming up for that. I actually retweeted a tweet a few days back to kind of like update the community while I was out. So that's the update on Serve. Let me see here. Ray also on a nice little pullback, going to this orange circle that I drew was when we talked about Ray. I believe it was like 2 weeks ago or something, a week or two ago. But I mentioned this was a good buy area, and it bounced pretty heavily. So it's coming into that same kind of buy area again. So Ray is looking really nice. And I'll get some updates on Ray for you guys, more than likely next week. But I'll see if we can get something in sooner, if I can. Let me see here. What else we got? PVS, Meyer. Meyer is looking good. I like this sort of, I don't know if to call this like a head and shoulders or like a triple bottom. But we see some good stuff happening here. Let's chart it like that. See a nice little triple bottom. What I would like to do is to see this like go, not revisit this area, but just go right up into the top of the range and maybe even go beyond it. So let's see how Meyer does going in, but we have version 1.0 coming out very soon. That should lay the groundwork for builders to come in and build with confidence and use the platform. They've already got some commits. They already have developers that are interested in building using their framework. So there's a lot here to look forward to, and so still in an accumulation range here, and it's only a matter of time before this breaks out. Let me show you guys another sort of accumulation range, because I want to help you guys to kind of visualize why these ranges can be so powerful to bid in. This is the KEDA chart, and I've mentioned KEDA on these spaces, and I've also tweeted about it, but it's something more that I just kind of like silently bought, and I'm not really like heavy into the research of it all. All I know is that there's an ex-Google CEO that is like kind of investing into this and potentially backing it in some way, shape, or form. So when you see these huge accumulation ranges form, eventually it will go like this, right? Like eventually it will go like this. And look how many times it revisited the bottom of the range. One time, two, three, four, even right before it went vertical for the fifth time before it went. So I say all of that to say, when you're looking at assets like Meyer, it's okay for it to be in this accumulation range. In fact, this price action is a lot cleaner than anything else. And it might revisit these lows again, but just because it's doing this kind of like seesaw with the price action doesn't mean it's not going to go vertical, right? Especially when you have it being powered, by strong fundamentals. So that's something I wanted to show you guys. And I saved the best for last because I really love the PA on PVS, man. Paraverse looking fantastic. Okay, so one thing I wanted to point out here real quick, gonna get a sip of water. Oh man, I lost my voice on this vacation, so it's like slowly coming back.
Having way too much fun by the pool. Way too much fun with some drinks.
Come on. That's just the norm. That's just what we have to do. So PVS looking fantastic. We called this breakout retest on the last stream before I left, and it went pretty good. We almost made new all-time highs, not quite, but still looking good. Bounced off this sort of like 10 to 11 mil range, or 10 to 12 mil range, and we're looking good for higher, man. Now the fundamentals that this is driven by, Paraverse just announced that they were accepted into the Google startup program. Now, why is that important? I'm actually going to share my screen here in a moment and show you guys a tweet that I really like from one of the community members at one of the community members in Paraverse. What you want to see, though, I mention this at least once every stream, you want to see the community kind of like come out and defend this project and push it. Not like all KOLs and all big accounts. Like you want to see just normal community activity from every and anybody, from big accounts and small accounts alike, that are passionate about the technology and that are passionate about the future of this project. And that's exactly what you're seeing out of projects like Paraverse. Let me see. So let me share my screen here with this tweet. So what you'll notice is, I haven't followed. It's crazy. What you'll notice is you know, a lot of people think, oh well, Google Startups program, that's really a bearish or whatever. No, the application is bear. A lot of people apply to this, like on ETH during ETH utility season. There are a lot of these utility projects that would apply to, apply to this program at NVIDIA or apply to this startup program at Google, but no one is really like getting accepted to some of this stuff, right? And so that's what you have to like take into consideration. And when you do have these teams that get accepted, that's actually pretty huge, because they also accepted Stripe when it was just a startup, UiPath when it was just a startup, Looker when it was just a startup that was later acquired by Google themselves for 2.6 billion. So these are all like early stage. This is all early stage. And we're seeing the same thing kind of play out here with Paraverse. And I like the way this was put in this tweet: Stripe, UiPath, Looker, Paraverse. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And so, yes, it might not be automation tool. It might not be a payment startup. It might not be an analytics platform. It is AI XR, extended reality, that they're building rails for that. And so with them already helping industry giants and big Web2 names that all of us know, it definitely lends itself to this being, one of those early kickers. So just be aware of that. And then the last thing I'll share about Paraverse, and I know I'm spending a little bit of time on this, but I'm doing that on purpose. The last thing I'll share about Paraverse is, in addition to their acceptance to the Google Startups program, they actually unlocked premium cloud access resources up to 350,000. Now, the last time this happened to a project, it actually happened to PAL. PAL got like 200,000 or 250,000 or something like that. So, that was actually a big push, or a big reason why their price, the PAL price, actually went up so much, was because of this, being able to access Google Cloud startup resources. And so you see this happening with PAL. I mean, you see this happening with Paraverse. It's getting more resources than PAL, and it's still a low valuation. And I know this sounds crazy, but I'm really thinking this runs to billions. Like there's really no other way to put it, man. But that's the update on Paraverse. Slowly, Paraverse is really like becoming like my top play, period. Like it's my top Solana play for sure. But like, just everything that continues to come out about these guys is just top notch. A sector with high potential growth coming up. I don't know. I'm seeing this tweet, and I'm not sure if it's real or not. Oh, never mind. It's actually not real. Okay, confirmed. Cool. But yeah, like Paraverse is good. I'm loving the project. I'm loving the updates that they do. They don't cater to degens. They're not like updating every day or anything like that, but they are giving us consistent weekly updates, if not weekly, like a little couple times a week or something. But either way, looking really good. Like the communication, love the love the integration of the token and the services, all that good stuff. Loving it. ZZ Tap Tap, what about the token and an airdrop, or so I heard? Can you talk about that concerning PVS? I didn't hear anything about any token airdrop or anything, bro. Now they did launch a new token, right? Like so let me just pull up the Paraverse chart real quick. and kind of give you the rundown. So the cause from this peak going down, the cause of this move here was them launching a second token. Little did everyone know that token is not tradable. It's not going to be used on the platform. It's not anything. Tap says that's probably it. Yeah, I think that's exactly what you're referring to. But that token it has nothing to do with PVS. In fact, it's not tradable, not going to be used anywhere or anything like that. I think really what happens is this was a new project. It was only alive for not even a week, barely 6 days. And so no one really had the confidence to kind of defend them. And so like a lot of people ran for the exit. And this is where we came in right here. I came in like somewhere around here, somewhere within this accumulation range. I started to buy because you see the community defending this project at like minus 90%. If this project held any weight, you wouldn't really, if it was really a rug, you wouldn't really like see that out of the community. So that made me start to dig in and everything. So yeah, and here we are pushing highs, new all-time highs pretty soon on this. I'm absolutely certain of it. So that's the top 5 segment, guys. Just a little bit of updates on our big bags, our major bags. Coffee DeFi still holding TG Metrics, bro. Yeah, still holding, bro. Still holding. Full bag, by the way. I'm really expecting the TG Metrics to do a bit of a good move. I believe that was on the list. So let me just briefly look at that real quick. Utility.
Yes, we're gonna have top 5 segment, utility and meme segment, and then community segment.
Yeah, we're gonna have to break this up. This chart is looking good though. This chart is looking good. You had a move from, let's call it 300K all the way to 2 mil. So you have some profit takers or what have you. Chart still looks good, still holding above this kind of key support. That's really what we were looking for, because I remember we called it here on stream. We called it here on stream. I remember this being a red box that I did, but we called it here on stream.
We called it at.
Yeah, and it moved here, and we were really looking for it to flip this support, and it did. And when it did, it broke out. So what we want to do is we want to look for this to turn into support. So if you're really hunting for lows, like anything around 1 million is probably a good place to buy. Sub a mil is pretty much free. But yeah, I still love TG Metrics. You have something like Cookie.fun that's hundreds of millions of market cap. So yeah, I'm holding this for much higher. All right, let's go into the community segment. Let's start going down the list here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and create a new tab, community segment, I'll call it. All right, so let's add Lens. Lens. I know you guys are probably like, chill. I told you we're trying to tell you at 1 million. Yeah, you guys were trying to tell me down here about this, and lo and behold, here we are. Yeah, Lens looks good. I remember when we were reviewing it. We talked about Lens integrating like AI agents and stuff into their platform, into the browser, and we talked about things like Brave browser, I believe it was, that went to hundreds of millions. So there is a sort of demand, and there is capital that's allocated to that sector. So yeah, maybe it'll probably continue higher. it'll probably continue higher. And just let me just say this: there's going to be tons. There's going to be tons of stuff that goes higher from here, right? It's not just going to be like, PVS isn't going to be the only thing that goes from here to 100 million plus and beyond. This isn't the only it's not the only one that's going to moon, right? There's going to be a ton of other tokens that go absolutely ballistic. Lens wouldn't surprise me to if Lens was one of them. The community has been really nice. They've been rating my comments. Even during these lows, they've been very passionate. So communities like that, they definitely are. They're definitely headed to good places. So Lens probably goes higher. What I like about this that I just noticed on this chart, though, looks like it's kind of holding this area here for support. And again, just like we talked about TG metrics on the last chart, holding this kind of key area. What it failed, let's call it once, twice, 3 times. It finally broke out. Now it's cooling down. And let me look at on the lower time frame. Let me see what it's doing there. It kind of went a little bit below it on the lower time frame, but it popped back above it, and it's looking to hold above that 2 mil area. But at the end of the day, guys, realize that this is 2 mil, man. I mean, I can do this charting, right? I can do this charting and tell you about support and resistance and XYZ, but this is 2 million market cap. If you're bidding anything at 2 mil, 1 mil, 5 mil, your targets should be, 10, 20, 50x from here. So at 10, 20, or 50x from here, does it really matter if I buy this at 1.8 or 3 mil? If this is at 100 million market cap 2 weeks from now, would you say, dang, I wish I would have gotten in at 2 mil instead of 2.7 or 3 mil? It wouldn't matter. Profit is profit. So when I'm looking at these charts, I know we're kind of like getting a little bit more in the weeds for good entries and things of that nature. But just keep that in mind. All of these are still small caps. These are still really low. So keep that in mind when we're talking about these. But overall, good to see that this was a range, right? This was a huge range that it was in. And it's now broken above the range. It's now looking to hold that as support. And if it does, I see nothing but higher for this chart, especially when you look at the backdrop for the entire market. Trenches are super hot right now. Trenches are really hot. Let's see here. And it might not be hot today, but just hot generally speaking over the last week or so. Of course, the trenches want to cool down when I get back. All right, let's talk about Aura. Aura, I actually really like this one. I was in it, but man, I screwed this up. This was a trade I just screwed up, and honestly, I don't even want to open the chart anymore. But I bought and I held and I averaged down, and it just kept going down. And I'm just like, well, I'm not really sure if this meta is here to stay. If it is here to stay, I would much rather buy something like Dupe. That's like the reason the meta exists in the first place, or something like a launch coin, or what else? Yeah, like Dupe, launch coin, something towards the top of the meta. Because when you see some of these projects that just come out, they've only been out for 2 weeks. It was dead most of the time. People now just now discovered it. But here's what's really concerning about this chart, and why, although I'm interested in it and I'll continue to watch it for changes, I'm not going to buy back into it right now. I want you to look at this volume that's just freaking going down and down and down. So the combination of lower volume and a break in chart structure, like We see it broke below this key level here. Boom, went right back to another key level, which was like a sort of all-time high in the past. Held it for a little while, broke below it, tried to break back above it, and now it's rejecting. So look at volume is decreasing, and we just rejected off a key level. The risk reward for this type of trade, as it stands, as it looks right now, oops, not the fib. The risk reward, as it stands right now, the reward is pretty clear, right? Like at the very least, we can say that's where it's headed. Or if we were to get long, that's where you could target. But the downside, though, the downside is pretty infinite right now. I mean, obviously, it only goes down to a certain level. These are what, negative prices? The downside, you can go down like minus 90% from here. So yeah, you have upside, but you have this minus 90% downside. Why is it minus 90%? Because we just rejected off a key level. My thesis for getting in the trade was somewhere around here, at like 3 mil or so, where I was like, hey, look, I'm seeing it's wicking off the 0.786 on the fib. See this red line? This is all, honestly, bro, like the 786 on a pullback is probably some of the best places to buy on memes, on utility, especially if they have good volume, especially if they have strong fundamentals. I wouldn't be surprised if where we bought on PVS, that accumulation range, I wouldn't be surprised if that was around the 786. Either way, you have the wicking around that area. So I said, all right, looks like it's showing some demand, I'll buy it. But when I bought it, it just kept going down. And when it came back up, it rejected. And so with lowering volume, it really doesn't make any sense. I would much rather see it reclaim this kind of key level before getting back in. Why? Because if it reclaims here, let's say I buy back at 3 mil where I was, and it reclaims and shows a bottom around this 0.26 level, my risk reward now looks like this: minus 20% versus minus 90%. And now my upside is still 3x, and I can comfortably get in with size on this if the setup is right. So that's my take on Aura right now. I'm interested in getting back into it, but from looking at the chart right now, I'm not really liking the way that the chart is looking. I'm not liking the way the meta is looking. A lot of people, they've now shifted away from utility, and have now gone to like things like startup, unicorn. They've gone back to memes. So, I would much rather stick to something like PVS for right now. Much rather buy that, hold that, and save my capital from these like minus 90% potential setups. So that's Aura. Fitcoin, I've been seeing this one around a lot. And I think the community on this one is actually pretty solid. Man, look at that chart. Now this is a chart. Let me see something real quick. So let's do some charting on this. Now, Fitcoin, we know that it's in the ICM meta. It's probably some of the top coins for the meta are things like Dupe, Buddy, Fitcoin, Aura. So those are some of the top kind of tickers in the meta. Let me go a little higher on this time frame. And so that's why I'm interested in Fitcoin, because if it really is the kind of like top of the meta, that would be really nice. I'm trying to see what I can chart on this thing. Okay, that actually looks kind of nice. Not the cleanest setup there, but yeah, not the cleanest. I would actually want to see it. I want to see it break out of this level. But I like this chart way more than I like the Aura chart. This chart actually looks a lot better. But I'm trying to get a sense of like where there's like a good bottom for this thing. Yeah, probably right there maybe. Go to a higher time frame real quick. Nice. Actually, I like that. I like that right there. There you go. We got a much cleaner view. So we're sitting in the golden pocket on the fib, and I really only use the fib if like for entries on these pullbacks. So area 1 of interest is this golden pocket. Area 2 of interest is this 786. Obviously, like you see that we're bouncing off this 7.6 area right here, and we're already in pretty decent profit if you would have bought there. Like I'm telling you guys, this 7.6 area is the place to buy if something is like actually looking really nice. But Fitcoin, I believe it's some like AI powered something or other with fitness. I mean, you can see that in the name, but I believe it helps you like with workouts or something like that. I'm not really 100% sure on what it is. So let me look this up on let me look this up real quick. I'm sure I can find something on Twitter about this pretty easily. Okay. Oh, you know what? I actually meant to show you guys this. This actually tells me exactly what Fitcoin is. I meant to show you guys this. For the homies, for the Nazir homies, Crypto KX. You see, I got this bookmarked. I have been meaning to look into it. But there was a chart that I had up that kind of like broke down all of the ICM projects. Here it is. There it is. All right, cool. So this is the list of like, you know, this ICM startup meta. As you can see, Fitcoin is one of them. We just talked about Aura. You see Dupe and Launchcoin at the top of the list. So Fitcoin, an AI fashion app where you style outfits, resell clothes, and earn crypto rewards. One thing that I'm seeing with this entire meta that I don't necessarily like, I'm not really seeing a lot of like integration with the token. Like it's basically ICM it's still a meme coin, and perhaps there's going to be some integration of the token, whether for rewards or discounts like Dupe does it. But you know, we're not getting like straight up hardcore utility integration. Like for example, and I keep bringing up PVS, I know, but I'm just saying, PVS, you're needing the token to access. You're needing the token to access the services, and by using the service, they're also going to buy and burn the token. I like that because that doesn't require attention. That doesn't require speculation. Whereas with these ICM tokens, they do. You need to generate hype around your token to drive volume. That means the creator gets fees and they can actually build out the idea that they're pitching. But that requires hype. That requires speculation. That requires attention. Something like an XMW or a PVS. They don't really care about attention. Sure, it'll benefit from attention and speculation, but at the end of the day, like, you know, they don't need it, because buybacks and things of that nature, that is what will power the growth of the asset and the growth of the chart. So yeah, like I'm not really worried about it like that. So that's my take on Fitcoin. That's my take on Fitcoin, on ICM. the entire meta. Does it have legs? I think so. There's enough degens out there that are willing to throw some volume, throw some buys at this thing, at this entire meta. But we see that it's already shifted back to memes. It's now startup versus unicorn, which actually I don't mind looking at those charts to trade them. But let's finish the community
You
segment
throw
here.
them up. Feel free to
Yeah.
pull out tickers as well. If there's ones that catch your eye first, just keep going through that.
Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna do that versus going like one by one, because there's a man, y'all are throwing a lot of tickers at us. Good problem to have though. We love it. Appreciate all the projects. And I'm
next
also
time we might do the most liked tickers in a reply thread. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, go for it.
for sure. So I'm gonna pull up startup and unicorn. Actually, this is the first time I'm pulling up the unicorn chart. ICM, boom. And let's hit this on multi-charts. Startup and unicorn. All right, cool. Let's pull this. Let me share my screen. You bet. Thank you, Tap Tap. Yeah, got you, bro. Tap Tap says, "What do you think about Lumos? Solana's integrating it and such." I'll actually check that one out, because I remember in a past stream that we actually talked about it, and I have it on my watch list. So yeah, I'll take a look. Okay, so with memes, really what you're doing, right? You're trading attention, right? Where is the attention now? ICM. Even within ICM, where is the attention? It's on unicorn and startup, because it's him versus all the KOLs or whoever is supporting unicorn. Some people are saying that unicorn is a farm. Other people are saying that startup, he accumulated it early. Him is defending him, but regardless, this is drama happening in the space, and him is a pretty big figure from the AI agent meta of November, December. So he tends to command a lot of volume. When he calls something, it typically goes crazy. Exhibit A, this move right here. He hinted at at this ticker, and people had to actually figure out what it is. But as you can see, this drove a 10,000% move. Like, Jesus Christ. This went all the way from like 100 mil to, or 100K, maybe not even 100, maybe 400, something like that. Whatever it was down there. But as you can see, this God candle here, and this big move up. And now we have, if you do it like this, I just want to see what the volume looks like. Okay. But you look at the chart, and then you realize that I believe the volume when I checked, I can't see it here. I believe the volume when I last checked, which was like at the start of the stream, was 43 million. 43 million in volume. So obviously there's a lot of attention, on something like startup. So it's definitely worth paying attention to, at the very least. And then you also have this, it's commanding like a lot of the attention in the space. So a lot of people are like, no, I like unicorn. No, I like startup. I don't really get an opinion. I don't really have an opinion on that stuff. I don't really care to be involved in the drama like that. I am just looking from a standpoint of, where can I make money? Where does the chart look good? If I'm trading attention, where is the attention? And then we'll go from there. So I'm looking at kind of like this pattern. Just for, a little bit of context, let's actually look at the unicorn chart as well. Let me see how that looks. And I'm going to refresh this because I actually had some charting on here. No, just a line. Anyway, so this also looks really good. So you're asking me, will I buy, some of these like ICM meta tickers that have, let's call it limited token utility, uh, new teams. Some of them have pretty decent founders and stuff that, kind of help to strengthen the conviction or strengthen the thesis behind the buy. But obviously, there's 37 mil volume on Unicorn and there's 43 mil volume on Startup. So obviously, the degens, while they claim to care about value, etc., they're focused on these two memes. At least today they are. And right now, these two memes, they sit at, minus. This one is minus 70%. Man, hold on. Let's pull out the fib on this thing. Okay, it's right below the golden pocket. So I mean, still really good value. Like in these in these zones here, between 60 and 80% on a pullback. Really, really good zones to buy. So I mean, it's a nice buy. It's a bigger market cap play, so maybe it doesn't go to zero. It's retesting this all-time high. It already retested it once. I wonder if this would be more of like an Adam Eve bottom. Kind of do something like that. The last time we saw something like that was on Titcoin at like 20 mil. On 12 mil was where this Adam and Eve bottom happened. But I could see something like that playing out on this. In fact, I'll leave this up just in case it does. But you want to trade where the attention is right now. And personally, I like the way Startup is looking. This chart just looks like freaking primed, bro. And again, him commands a lot of respect. A lot of people might say, oh, well, he's a grifter, or he's this, or he's that, or whatever. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't really have an opinion because I don't really care. The bigger question is not is he a grifter or is he not? The bigger question is, will the chart go up or will it not? You know what I mean? That's a much bigger question. And from the way this looks, I think it will. And this is more of like a play for size. I think it's at like 17 mil market cap, so it's a good play for size. All right, let's see here. Lumo. Let's dive into Lumo here. Let me add that to the because I looked into this, and this act from like a fundamental standpoint actually looks not too bad. And I remember this was a charting I did on stream, I think a stream or two ago, and I said that I really like this zone that it's been in. It's like an accumulation range. So I really like the way that was forming. So yeah, like I mean, this still decent area to bid. Still a ton of upside here, 700%. Okay, let's see what can fuel that upside real quick. Let me look up. Let me see what's happening with Lumo. I just want to get and so for anyone that doesn't know, Lumo is open sourcing AI data sets and models on Solana. And it seems like they have like some pretty big catalysts coming up. And this was one that when I was looking up, there was actually a lot of community pushing behind this, not just like KOLs, not just big accounts, but like actual community members, coming out, right, like expressing their passion and getting really excited about this. So let's see, open source, building cutting edge AI models. Lumo's impact across developers can accelerate development. Okay, so they're using data sets so that way, these projects can train their AI agents and streamline the creation of them. Researchers summarize, generate new ideas. Okay. Lumo is the first AI crypto venture accepted into the NVIDIA DGX Cloud Innovation Program, an honor reserved for a select group of NVIDIA Inception members. Will scale their AI capabilities with cutting-edge infrastructure. Okay, seeing some conviction here from some of these community members, and it's good to see. That's good confluence at the lows, right? Good confluence at the lows. Ooh, and that's popping up on my so I don't know if you guys remember this from the first stream, but I have a Twitter lists that I do. That's how I kind of like get the most out of CT and extract some value. But I'm seeing some confluence between my my alpha list on Twitter, the low valuation on the chart, the acceptance into the NVIDIA Innovation Program, and the community, sentiment around this vibe. The community sentiment around this project, I should say. Let me see here. One of my big conviction bag is Lumo. They're misunderstood and not getting enough attention as it's not consumer facing. First to build a data set on Solana, first and only project to get NVIDIA grant, built through Bear, multiple callouts from official Solana developer account. Let's see. This Lumo kit could onboard developers, which is what Solana Foundation would want. You can see the pain points of a developer in the screenshot. We know how Griffin went, expecting massive repricing. Whoa. I'm going to share this thread with you, actually. Josh, this is actually pretty deep alpha. And I'm going to share this on screen too. Literally, look, you guys called out Lumo on a stream in the past. And I've had it on my watch list. I did some research. And, I kind of kept it on the radar. So I like the consolidation on the chart. But this is now really interesting. This is now really, really interesting. Let's see here. Solves a key problem. Solana devs need AI to build faster and smarter. Okay, so they're fixing basically a pain point. Production grade AI assistant for Solana developers. Okay, so kind of more infrastructure play, building alongside developers. Okay, staking to secure the network and access of AI services. I love that. Dynamics is packed with AI and he stands out for you. Okay, I'm actually liking this setup. So if anybody remembers on these spaces, when we were looking through synthetic data, we found out that that basically there is a shortage of data, and so when you there's a shortage of data. So when you have like AI agents, and again, this is from my small brain, my low IQ brain, trying to comprehend all of this AI stuff. But basically, you have AI agents that are being built at a rapid pace, but you don't have enough data in order to train these agents, and you don't have enough infrastructure to build them out quickly. And so that's what this essentially offering. It's offering a way to streamline coding, dApp creation, training of AI agent. Ooh, and they have an NYC event on May 19th. Interesting. So essentially, it could kind of fine-tune AI agents and help developers build dApps, DeFi products, and other Web3 innovations on Solana. That's simple right here. Developer Copilot layer for Solana. That's actually pretty huge. Okay. All right. I think I have seen. I think I've seen what I needed to see.
I love when we discover alpha on Stream Live. That's
literally
solid.
Let me go back to the chart here real quick. It's a pretty dope project, I gotta say. It's a pretty dope project, I gotta say. I think I might even buy into this. I'm gonna send you the CA. I mean, it's a little high, right? A little high, 7 mil. But I think someone in the chat said they were integrating Solana. Solana is integrating it and such. What do you mean Solana is integrating that? Tap. Define that. Define that for me. Yeah, let me I'm a buyer here. I am indeed a buyer here. Yeah, tap. Yeah, I know you're talking about Lumo. I know you're talking about Lumo, but like, how is Solana integrating their tech? Like, give me some clarity on that, on exactly what that means. That's what I was kind of looking for. Go to Lumos X. All right, bet. I'll go right now. Right after. Oh, and I think that let's see here. Hold on 1 second. I would just like to get, boom, let's do that. Nice. Awesome. All right, let's see. Let's go to their X. Let's see what they got for us. Okay, we see that. Got a grant and all that good stuff. Want sneak peeks? Y'all ain't ready for this. We going to change the game.
Yeah, you gotta screen share if you can.
Oh, oops, my bad. I thought I was screen sharing still. King Stu, we don't see your screen. My bad. Here we go. We're back on track. Huh? Thanks for the shout out.
Blockchain. AI is a post-blockchain technology, so you will use blockchain natively. Science, what we call DeSci, I think that still has a lot of
Okay. Okay. I still don't see where they're like. Oh, gotcha. I see what you mean now. Got you. No, you're good. Tap. I see what you're saying. They're integrating Solana, like, as in they're going to be focusing on making all of this possible for Solana developers. This is actually pretty dope. This is actually pretty dope. I full disclosure, I did buy. I have to say, I just want to be transparent about that. This looks really good. This looks really, really good. This looks really, really good here. Let me see. Let me see something real quick before we continue. I'm trying to see. Okay, got it. Cool. All right. That's okay, cool. That's it's a really, really good project right there. Really, really good project right there.
Before Chill goes on to the next one, make sure you guys are sharing this stream, because we want the Lumo community to know that the stream and that research happened, but also we want this stream to be bigger than last. And I think last we hit 1.1K. So let's get over K. Make sure you're sharing this out.
Tap. I am a shiller now. Hey, look, I love being shilled stuff by my community. Like, just a lot of people underestimate the value that they can generate from Twitter itself. There's a lot of people that are sharing a lot of good stuff, and it's just a matter of finding it, right? And a lot of times you have people like yourself who, you kind of do a lot of the front end digging, and then to kind of uncover a project. And then, when you show it to me, I kind of look into it, and I just use my kind of experience trading for so long to kind of see if I can spot any value. Look at XVG. That thing could go beyond. Okay, but yeah, we'll take a look at it in a sec. Let's see. Omira. I've been getting hit up about Omira a lot. Let's take a look, shall we? I was actually in Omira.
Just throw your screen back. Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
I was actually in Omira. And actually, I might be a buyer of one of these things, like Startup or Unicorn. Let me just take a look real quick, because right now I don't really have much meme coin exposure. I kind of moved all my stuff to perps, but now it looks like memes can kind of. Yeah, I'm probably gonna just. Before we continue, we've been talking a lot about a lot of good stuff on this stream. So F it, we ball. Cool. Yeah. All right. So let's go back to the charts. Omira. What you got for me? So I still have my charting up from like my old charting from Omira. So it looks like this support that I charted out still holds weight apparently. So that's good. And it just so happens that we're falling into this kind of support area. I mean, this chart on Omira looks it reminds me of like the Bitcoin chart, right? Like going all the way up to our all-time high. What was it, like 106 or 108 or whatever it was? It came down, made its lows here, and it broke out of like a bigger range that it was in, but now it's breaking back into it. And that's and it's pulling back now. Obviously this isn't picture perfect. King Stu, what is the name of the token you mentioned? Mirror? This is Omira. Omira. Yeah, Omira. But yeah, Omira is nice. to catch up on exactly what they're doing as of late. Let me go to their Twitter. Let me see what they're saying. From what I remember, basically it was like predictive intelligence. They were using, like AI to forecast tickers. But basically it would be forecasting mid caps. It could, forecast like not just like, large, not only just large kind of tickers like or large assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana, but actually like, other smaller tickers. And the model was actually really good. It was really good. But there was very limited, it was very like just Ethereum was dead. I was being a lot more productive on Solana. So I just decided to, I just been kind of over there. But looking at the chart, I mean, it's making a move back up. It's reclaimed a pretty big range. For anyone that like was a buyer down here at like 500K, you're sitting on like some decent gains. It ran all the way up to like 4.5 mil. So yeah, I think this could do well. I'm looking at their Twitter and let me see. I think there was a latest model that they came out with. Let me see, back testing. Yeah, so I would have to dig into this a little bit more. So one of their flagship model was B.B4. It had a directional accuracy of 70%. And it was built for 2-day moves. So it was like consistently predicting 3 to 10% price swings with precision. So you have basically like this kind of like this high confidence model in BB4, but then you also have like this kind of like a little bit more like degen model to get price swings on more volatile stuff, I believe. But again, not 100% on Omira. I remember I did a thread. I have to go looking for it. I have to go digging for the thread. But actually, I might actually rebid this at some point. But we'll see. I'll let you guys know if I do. But it's definitely something to keep on your radar. And if you don't have like low cap exposure on, if you don't have any low cap exposure on Ethereum, probably something good to get some exposure to.
Should do ePectra while we're talking about Ethereum meme coin, because that was kind of floating around.
ePectra, okay, bet.
Let's see. I don't know. Yeah, Gpetra. Here, it's in the chat.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I got you. Let me see. See what they got.
I've seen it mentioned a number of times. Apparently, the giraffe is in the code of the Petra update or something.
No way. No way.
Kind of looks like the Bitcoin in the code kind of vibe.
I see. I like it. I mean, chart looks good. Let me see. I would actually love for like a pump fund type of platform on Ethereum. Love that. But yeah, this from a chart perspective, this is just like all the others. This is basically stuck in a range. Still. It'll probably break out. I know like there was some stuff like Tibber. Let's see. Let's look at Tibber real quick. I don't know the background of Tibber or what it is, but I know like stuff on Ethereum has been, dang, look at that chart, has been going pretty crazy. So looking good. looking good. Yeah, I'd keep this on the watch list, and I'll see what's up with G Petra. As far as low caps on Ethereum, though, I would prioritize utility. I mean, just because of how I am, like those are the assets that I want to buy. I feel more confident in. Um, so Sync would be one of them. Omira would be one of them for low cap exposure on ETH. And I'm seeing another one in the community chat, EVA. I've seen this one around for a pretty long time. Their community has been pretty good too. Jesus, holy cow, like that, grinding up. So not necessarily a low cap anymore, but still, chart looks really good. One that I actually was looking in on Solana, two that I'll point out, Anti-Rug and JOS. So let's look at JOS real quick. I actually bought this at like 5 mil, and I was like, I sold. And lo and behold, yeah, you still see my charting from back then. I actually sold it, and it went up, I think this actually goes higher. Let me start at a really start at a high time frame. See if we can mark off some levels. Yeah, so looks like we're again still, like, there's so many things in a range. What I like about JOS, so it's at the bottom of the range. Let me look at Twitter real quick. See what Twitter is saying. I know there was something big that I saw on JOS. Like, dang it, why did I sell? So it's an AI swarm framework. And what was Anyone before? I think Anyone was like, it was another protocol. I think it was After or something like that before. But apparently they're partnering with them. Let's see. Looks like they have some seasoned developers on board to build Swarm tech. I'm not seeing anything about the team yet. I mean, this is just me looking at the chart. I mean, just looking at Twitter. It's an open source Web3 operating system, operating AI swarms. Okay. Yeah, I would need more info on the team. But from a chart perspective, it's partnering with other pretty big protocols as well. So might not be a bad buy, but I would still, manage risk and everything. Let's go to Anti-Rug. This is actually one that I wanted to get into, but it's at 1 million now. Wow. Because I saw this at like, oh wow, this completely reversed. I saw this at down here, and then I was like coping up here. But now I'm getting interested again, but I want to see like, okay, like, why this hard reversion? When you look at charts like, and I know you're gonna be mad at me about mentioning PVS again. Charts like PVS, they've held up in this dump, so I want to see like, is there a reason for this? But from what I see though, there are a lot of whales buying Anti-Rug. So I'm not sure if they know something or what have you. So that's something that I'd keep an eye on here. Let's take a moment to pause real quick. Let me know in the chat. Uh, yeah. Let me take a moment to just pause real quick. If you guys are enjoying the stream, feel free to like, retweet. If you got questions, you want me to look into something, let me know. GG, I'm out. Great session. GG, bro. GG.
Join in. All the replies, by the way, are in under Chill's version of the paired stream on Chill's profile, so you can see everything's timestamped. There's some disclosures, some commentary. So please share that within your communities. Share that within Telegrams. Like if you hold those symbols and you have communities there, drop them in so people can see it. But yeah, make sure to give myself a follow, and if you don't follow Chill, give Chill a follow as well. Yeah, we're also now streaming on YouTube as well, so I might drop the link to the YouTube channel. So keep an eye on that.
For sure, bro. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. What is this? This guy. All right. So let's just kind of like, we've went through like a ton of tickers today. So before going through anything else, I just want to point out a call from our last stream. I think you guys might have seen me tweet about this, but I told you guys on Lay that we just buy in this accumulation range and break out. A lot of people were concerned that, they're like, well, it's not, a confirmed breakout of the accumulation and all that good stuff. But by the time it breaks out, I want to be in profit, right? And I was comfortable with the fundamentals to buy here, and seeing a lot of the wicking. We were talking about that. Buyers are willing to step in. I told you guys that if there is a place that you would feel more confident getting in, instead of just waiting aimlessly for this to break out, would be when it breaks out and retests this area. Now we're in that same exact scenario where we have broken out of the accumulation range, and now the next best place to buy is a retest. And that's where we are now. So just wanted to point that out because we talked about that on stream, and a lot of people were like giving me flack for it, for buying in these areas when, that's where you're supposed to buy. You're supposed to be early. Overall, just a quick summary of today's stream. Let me go back to multi-charts here. And I'm going to open up my day trade. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of AI swap for now. I guess could be a buy at the bottom of the range, but I think it's moved on. And I told you guys, oh, look at that Tickcoin with a bounce. Let me get rid of Trencher. And I'll get rid of Aura Farm as well. New additions to this, Startup. I did take a position on Startup, y'all. I told y'all I like the chart. And, I really wanted to get up. Man, look at that on Startup. It's already breaking out. So I would love to see it make it through. I'd love to see it make it through this area. But either way, looking very good. Again, the attention is on this thing. A lot of people they're just getting too emotional. They're getting too emotionally invested, to the point where they're actually caring, like, oh man, he's farming this. And little do you know, a lot of these people farm. Not saying that him is farming or not farming. I don't care. I have no opinion. But generally speaking, there are large KOLs, there are large accounts, there are large, PvP groups that farm, bro. But guess what? There's still a way to make money even while they're doing that if you're able to manage your risk and have a thesis that is also has clear invalidation. And if something is invalidated, you need to be willing to, take that invalidation in and react to it, right? So, I mean, he's like tweeting about this nonstop. This is the most that he's tweeted in I don't even know how long. So I doubt people will ignore him. I am sure people will continue to try to FUD him. And all that does is the same thing with Fartcoin, right? When people are like, oh no, Fartcoin, it has no value, it's Fartcoin. When the TradFi bros were like, oh, well, Fartcoin's at $1 billion, whatever. No matter if it's love or it's hate, it's building the mind share of that token. No matter if it's love or it's hate, if you try to attack it, it only grows. Same thing with Fartcoin, and I assume same thing with Startup. We'll see if I take a position on the other one. The other one was Unicorn, because that one looks good too. That's closer. It's getting closer to its like bottom around like 7-8 mil, something like that. So it's getting closer, but I wouldn't shoot. I might buy both and just, whichever wins and just keep it pushing. Right. So yeah, just wanted to just kind of update you guys on that. And then the other thing is I'm going to add Lumo. So I added to our meme bags Startup. I actually I was supposed to get back into Fartcoin here. Remember, I told you guys 40 mil or below. When it broke below that 50 mil, we were originally eyeing 50 mil, but it broke below and we actually got 40 mil. We even got below. And so now I really do think that Fartcoin is on its way to a good reversal. You see all this selling going on right here? A lot of people they're scared, they're underwater, so at any pump they're trying to sell it off. So let's see how it does against the sell pressure. From a pullback standpoint, it's still in the golden pocket, so a good fib zone. And won't you know, look at where we just talked about this. Look at where the best place to buy was on this chart on Housecoin. The 786. We just talked about this. The 786 on a fib is the best place to buy any high mind share or high volume token, meme coin, whatever, utility, whatever. If it's driven by something that will allow it to go up, or whether that be attention, fundamentals, deflationary pressure, 0.786 is the place to buy. So the fact that it's bouncing off that very strongly is not surprising. But it's second best place to buy here. Another good place to buy here is this golden pocket. So, I'll kind of see what it does over these next couple of days. I also do want to observe Bitcoin a little bit, see what it does over the next few days. And maybe on Monday's stream, I'll have an update for you guys on Housecoin. But I'm sticking to my 2 to 4 meme rule. Right now, I have two meme coins that will be Startup and Fartcoin. Fartcoin is more of a long-term hold. Startup, however, is a little bit more of a flip. I have no idea how high this thing could go, but if Fartcoin is any indication, this could end up going into the hundreds of millions. So, but again, clear invalidation on this one. It's already breaking out. The chart looks good. So I'm just waiting for all-time highs and price discovery. Not memes. The trenches are still pretty hot. So I wouldn't ignore, something that has a lot of attention in this environment. So yeah, right now, Fartcoin, Startup, I would definitely consider I would definitely consider buying house coin here if I see a pullback. But I know I know I'm beating this drum really heavily. But let me just look at something real quick.
And
Gotcha.
that Adam and Eve spot there that we very much called out. Dude, wow.
Same thing that we called, man.
10 mil
I'm telling you.
Would it go to 90? Jeez.
Yeah.
Bro, I've loafed it on
You.
Titcoin from like $1 million. It's just max pain. And I follow Sling. Actually, it was below $1 million. I'm pretty sure it was below $1 million. I've just loafed it on. Yeah.
Crazy. There's still gonna be a lot more runners out there, that's for sure. Still gonna be a lot more runners. So yeah, that's the meme side. Looking at Housecoin, bought startup, and will buy. What was it? Will buy. Or no, Fartcoin. So startup Fartcoin. We'll look at Housecoin. As far as utility goes, we're still. I'm gonna delete PVS from this because it's one of the main bags. Let me delete that one. I'll delete MAI. I'll delete Meyer. Still in taps. Still in taps. I call this one out in the TG, but it's still just kind of hovering in that range. Still in TG metrics. Let me add Lumo here. And then I'll also add Zoos. Look at that chart. Hold on. Let me I want to add it to my Solana utility. Awesome. Man, look at Zoos. And this is what I was telling you guys at the outset of the stream. I want to make sure that this not only breaks out of the range, but it holds above. And look at those closes above, man. This thing looks ready for higher. Still looks ready for higher. Real quick, while we're looking at the chart, I want to dig into Zoos real quick. See if there's anything else that's interesting to find. Because when you start to consider that, you know, it's an ex Coinbase team. Now they're on Spaces right now.
We could we're at 2 hours. We could cap a stream there if you want to hop on Spaces and listen in.
Cool. Yeah, let me do one last thing here. You know what? Because the reason I'm looking is because this is the Hyperliquid of Solana. And one thing that I've been really wanting out of Hyperliquid is for them to be available on Solana. I know they have their own chain. I know they're available on ETH, on Arbitrum. But I wanted to kind of like have my own. I wanted to have like, you know, a similar platform on Solana. That way I don't have to bridge from one place to the next. dBridge makes it really easy. But still, you know, I would like one place to kind of do everything. And that's essentially what Zoos is offering. And if I'm thinking it, I'm sure that there are others that kind of like have that same, you know, others, they have that same need. So it might be a market need that they're filling. And if they are holding weight against, if they're competing against Hyperliquid, which is like in the billions, I believe, then I think this could have a fair shot at easily like a 50 mil or something like that. So, but yeah, 0 gas fees, 30K TPS stress tested, looking good. Okay, so that would be the wrap of the stream, guys. I think we've touched on a lot today. I don't want to overtrade. I don't want to cover too much, but that's really what our setup is looking like. We have 2 to 4 memes. One of them is in the current meta. That being startup. We have our utility, TG metrics, and then today we got into zoos, Lumo, and of course we've been in taps. So I think a good like 4 to 5 buys on like new utility. I think that's still pretty good. I think that 2 to 4 meme rule still pretty good. And then we have our top 5, like our hodl bags that we're willing to see go much higher. So I think that's a good way to trade. So that way you're not just like buying here and then buying there, and like you're just kind of like doing too much. But really good stream here today, guys. Appreciate you all tuning in. Hopefully you found some value in all the information that we covered here today. I know it was a lot of yapping. There's a lot of charts being shown, but hopefully the summary kind of helped you guys to put it all into perspective. But looking good.
Awesome. Let's see how these play out, and we'll see you on the next stream. Make sure you're following both Chill and I on X, and we'll drop the YouTube channel. Maybe we'll brand it something interesting at some point. And I'll be back on stream tomorrow morning, actually, for Galaxy Digital's NASDAQ uplisting Friday morning. So yeah,
you made sure to get that call. That was a call from a few weeks back. Yeah.
Oh, buddy, $14. It's now 32 yesterday. So
Jesus,
on a big cap $1 billion, $10 billion stock, that's pretty impressive.
Crypto gains on the stock market. Crypto gains, but on the stock market. That's crazy. Last thing real quick that I wanted to point out, to look out for zoos. So zoos is the Hyperliquid of Solana, which means any narrative around Hyperliquid is worth paying attention to for a potential buy, right? Or for a potential acceleration in narrative. Hyperliquid is marching towards all-time highs, right? And this chart doesn't look like it wants to slow down. So as Hyperliquid continues to just grind up, we could see this kind of like hype around Hyperliquid really start to materialize. Think back to GMX and GNS. Remember when GMX like went crazy into the hundreds of million, even in the middle of a bear market. There was a lot of like other perp dexes that started to pop up, and there was this narrative around perp dexes. Same thing as a decentralized exchange. Like when Uniswap came, then it was DEX aggregators, and it was other dexes like PancakeSwap and all these other things. So this price action around these major tokens, when they start heading to new all-time highs, which let me mark that off right here. When they start heading to new all-time highs, they kick off a narrative. And this is what we're seeing out of Hype. So I think essentially zoos would be good beta for Hype, especially when they have a big event coming on the 19th. So watch out for that. Watch out for Hype going to new all-time highs, and watch out for zoos maybe potentially following that price action as well. But great stream today, guys. Josh, we'll see y'all tomorrow. I'll see you guys on Monday. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. GG's.